Hello and welcome to the presentation regarding emergency planning and agricultural plans. This is one of 4 engagement sessions that were undertaken in May 2023 as part of the Comox Valley Agricultural Plan Initiative. The other 3 topics are land use and agriculture, water management and agriculture, and business viability in agriculture. And these 3 additional presentations can be found on the website for your viewing. There's also a general introductory presentation, which is highly recommended that you view before the specific topic related presentations. In this presentation, we're going to go through some examples of emergency planning actions that have been found in other communities that could be examples of what might be considered for Comox Valley, and also some examples of the emergency preparedness and response initiatives currently underway in the region. Following that, there will be a series of discussion questions presented, which can be answered through the online survey. The link to this survey is also available on the CVRD's website. So to start, let's discuss some examples of emergency planning actions that aim to improve the capacity and readiness of both the sector and authorities to prepare for and respond to an emergency. Examples from other regional districts provide some inspiration of ways to support the agricultural land use planning and agricultural plan update with regards specifically to emergency planning. And these are often done in conjunction with the province. This is because emergency planning necessarily initiates a emergency operations type of responsibility and relationship with the province. So in our experience, it's really important to connect climate change, the environment, and emergency planning policies directly to agriculture by cross-referencing different sections of the Official Community Plan, or OCP. This was also covered in the land use planning and agriculture presentation, which can be viewed separately. This is an example of nesting different levels of policy within a framework to ensure that key critical topics such as emergency planning are well accounted for in the regional growth strategy, in the OCP, and also in the zoning bylaw. It's also important to support the development of livestock evacuation plans as well as the buddy farm system. The buddy farm system is one by which farms in one community or sub-region of the community connect to another farm that may have the capacity to bring their livestock within a situation whereby the livestock are not going to be safe to stay on the farm, such as during a wildfire or a flood. And there's lots of opportunities to download resources that are already available online, which we'll talk about in a second. Livestock evacuation planning is also something that's been undertaken by different regions in conjunction with the province. There's also the opportunity to adopt premises ID, and so it is currently the law in British Columbia that anyone with livestock, whether they're hobby farms or full-scale commercial operations, must apply through the premises ID program. And this is so that during emergency responses, there's an effort to make sure that the numbers that the emergency operators are dealing with are accurate and reflective of the current situation on the ground. And lastly, it's important to ensure that the agricultural community is included in emergency response plans, and that includes ensuring that they're at the table throughout the development of these plans so that these key stakeholders can better inform some of the decisions that happen once an emergency is underway. In the Comox Valley, there are Farmers Institutes and the Farmers Market Association, which present opportunities for key critical stakeholders to be brought into these conversations. In terms of emergency preparedness, both Comox Valley Emergency Program and the province have worked on several key resources which are available for downloading online and also at several government offices in print. These include the Fire Smart program, the Neighborhood Emergency Preparedness program, and other Be Prepared type documents that are available through the province's website. In terms of emergency response, there are some critical steps that do take place when an emergency is underway. The Regional Emergency Operations Center opens, and there's often a contact directly from the Ministry of Agriculture involved so that there is that key communications connection. There's a critical infrastructure rapid damage assessment undertaken. And then in times when there is an evacuation order, residential evacuations will be underway. and folks will be brought to Emergency Support Services Reception Center. It's important to note that at all times, human health and safety is the priority, less so farm infrastructure or livestock. However, there are opportunities for farmers and producers and food processors to communicate the key critical buildings or resources on their properties that are worth saving in the event of, say, for example, a fire or a flood. And this can be communicated by way of an emergency plan that is posted at the end of the driveway for each property. There's more information about these types of specific emergency plan resources on the government website, Ministry of Agriculture website, and also Emergency BC. There's information, everything from tips for preparing your farm for in case of emergency, but also commodity-specific resources too. So there are emergency management guidelines for beef producers, dairy producers, small mixed farms, poultry producers, and so on. And it's worthwhile checking out some of these resources because they can provide a step-by-step guide to producing an emergency plan for your operation. There's also some key resources that local governments and programs such as the Comox Valley Emergency Program refer to when they are putting together their plans. One is the Template for Agriculture Appendix for the BC Local Authority Emergency Plans. And that document does help to provide specific clarity on the role of local governments during an emergency. It is important to note that local governments don't necessarily have a leadership role. However, it's important that they're at the table to provide the right kinds of information. One message that's important to hear is that many producers are going to be responsible for their own needs when it comes to an emergency. And that's why planning and preparedness is so critical when it comes to the agri-food sector. So with this context in mind, we've put together some discussion questions, and these can be filled out through the online survey link. So the first question is, what are your expectations or assumptions of what the region can do, and what will they do in an emergency specific to agriculture? Secondly, how prepared do you feel you are for emergencies, and what measures do you take to be prepared? Third, what is currently working well and what could be improved with regards to emergency planning and preparedness in the Comox Valley? And lastly, are there any formal or informal community networks that could be activated in the event of an emergency, specifically within the agricultural community? These are questions that we hope you'll provide some input on and feedback on through the online survey link, and we will be gathering information and feedback up until the end of June 2023. If you would prefer to speak with me or email with me directly, my email is ione@uplandconsulting.ca. You can also reach me by phone at 778-999-2149. Thanks for your interest in the Comox Valley Agricultural Plan Update.